Buy one whole silicon, get an extra bucket of fragments.
All right, welcome to another installment of Fragments Silicon Daylight Interviews. Joining us this week is Stephan Berendsen of BBG Entertainment.
Yes, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Indeed. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. Everything okay? Weekend is coming, so yeah, good timing.
Yeah. It's one reason why we do the show when we do. Anyway, so how we like to get started is we like to get to know the people's behind the game studio and all that business. And we do that by asking this particular question. What got you interested in video games, both on a personal and a professional level?
Oh, this is a long story. You know, I'm a little bit older than you, so I started during school time, when I still went to school. I started with two classmates. We developed software for home computers. You know, this was probably, you don't know this anymore. The first computers, you had to store your software on music tapes. Very small. So there have been just a few models: the Apple II, the Commodore PET, and we had a Japanese computer called Sharp MZ80K. And so we programmed. We wanted to play games at home, so no games available. So we just programmed the games by ourselves, and then when we finished school at the age of 18, we went to Japan. We traveled to Japan from Germany, and by chance, the first day in Japan, we met the founders of one of the famous software companies at this time, called Hudson Soft. And Hudson Soft was a very famous game software company, and so they became very good friends of mine. This was my first, or let's say, this is how I got into the video game business.
Mm-hmm. And what about video games on a personal level? Like, did you start playing beforehand?
Yeah, of course. Like when we have been young, so we played all the first video games, you know, on the arcade games, from Pac-Man, from Donkey Kong. So I'm still like a retro guy. So I like the old games more than the new games, which you could also see if you look at our company's portfolio. So I like more the classical games. I also believe that good game concepts, good game ideas, which even worked 40 years ago, they are still working. And you could see this with Boulder Dash or with other games like Bomberman or these kind of games. I think they are timeless.
Like, yeah, more or less, considering how long some of them have been going on for. Anyway, so getting back to, I don't know, the mid-'80s here and your first meeting with Hudson.
Yes, so we showed them our games which we developed for the Sharp computers, and they've been very impressed. They helped us to get in touch with Sharp, to make some business with Sharp. And so, so this was very, from this first meeting in 1983, like a long friendship developed. So I'm still have lots of friends within Hudson. Unfortunately, Hudson Soft is not existing anymore. They have been taken over by Konami. But I have still lots of friends. One of my best and closest friends is Shinichi Nakamoto. So I met him the first day in Tokyo when I was 18, and he's the creator of Bomberman. He created Bomberman 1 year later in 1984.
That was the NES version, if I'm remembering correctly, or was that like
this was the Famicom? Famicom was the Japanese version of the NES.
Yeah. People often forget that was the first Bomberman game.
Yeah,
because so many of their...
No, it's not true. I think they had a for home computer, like for these Sharp computers, or they had a single player game which looked a little bit like what they called it Arrogant the Floaters. But this was single player. So just, and of course, I think Shin made it as a multiplayer game. So with that 4 people play and things. So he made new graphics. So I think he just took a little bit of this game idea from Arrogant the Floaters, which was, I think, not so successful game. And then Bomberman became a big story.
Yeah. Also injected a bit of Lode Runner in there, like.
Yes, Lode Runner was the game like my friend Shin developed in 1983. So earlier. So Lode Runner was the first game Hudson Soft developed for the Nintendo Famicom, for the NES. So they got a license from the US for the game, and then Shin created the Lode Runner version. So this means, you could see some parts of Lode, or of course. For sure, I'm not sure, but he will took some of the source codes or the development he's done for Lode Runner. I think he of course used for Bomberman.
I couldn't say there, but it's like the enemies in Lode Runner sort of became Bomberman. It's actually the whole thing in the NES games. While the PC version, they're representatives of the Bungling Empire, which led to Bungling Bay and SimCity. Anyway. So, when you were bringing over Hudson's games to European markets, was that under the BBG Entertainment moniker, or did that come up later?
This was later. So then, like after I studied, I've done some non-gaming software. So I'm some communication software, and then later. In 2001, my friends from Hudson asked me if I could bring their mobile games, so their Java, J2ME games for mobile phones, if I could help them to bring them to the European market. And so I started a new company called Living Mobile. And so we got the source codes from Hudson Soft. We ported them to the European phones and sold them through the operators, the mobile phone operators here in Europe. And next to Hudson Soft games, we also had other games. We licensed games like Tamagotchi from Bandai Namco, or Street Fighter, Resident Evil, Mega Man from Capcom. So we all ported them here to the European phones and sold them here in Europe.
Now you gotta ask, what was it like making games for the JM2E mobile phones?
Yeah, this was, of course, this was the beginning of the mobile gaming market. So I think it was really, really fun. But of course it was more, we had to do, sometimes I think we had 150 ports, you had to do always special ports for each mobile phone or for each category of mobile phones. The mobile phones had different resolution, different input keys here. So we had to do, this was lots of small, slightly different versions. So it was a little bit more complicated. But of course, this was really fun, and it was kind of, I think at this time not so many people developed games for mobile phones. I think we have really been at the beginning.
I mean, to go back any further, you have to go to Nokia Snake.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you were doing mobile versions of a lot of these games. When did BBG enter the picture?
Yeah, BBG I started in 2008. So later, when Living Mobile was bought by another company, so in 2005. And then in 2008, I started BBG, which I still do. With the intention to develop a scientific-based brain trainer for PCs, for Windows and Mac, because at this time, I was in 2006, I was in Japan again, and I saw that Nintendo released the DS console with the Dr. Kawashima brain training or brain age game. It was super successful in Japan. Lots of elderly people bought this. And so I thought, wow, that's interesting. We should do this for Europe. but not for the DS console, because if I see older people, I think they don't want to buy a console. They want to play it on their PC. So, I started BBG and convinced, or I got in touch with Dr. Kawashima, who is not a Nintendo character, who is a real professor, Alzheimer researcher. So we developed the brain training product and tested and certified, optimized and tested this in Dr. Kawashima's brain research lab at the Tohoku University in Sendai. And once we get his approval, we released this version in 2009 called Train Your Brain with Dr. Kawashima. We released this as a packaged product. At this time, there was no app stores or no browser-based games, so it was traditional package-based business, package with a CD. And so this is still we keep this product. We 2 or 3 years later, we renamed it, so we use, instead of the Dr. Kawashima brand, we licensed the Einstein brand from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. They own the trademarks and personality rights of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was a founder of this university, and he inherited his personality rights to this university. And so we have it in the app stores, for mobile, but also for PC under the Einstein Brain Trainer. So this was the start of BBG, this scientific-based brain training project.
All right. And I don't know, are you still doing brain training games to this day, or is that something
we still have the Einstein Brain Trainer? Yes, of course. We like it, and lots of people like it. We are close to release a new version of the game for consoles. So we make it from graphically wise much nicer, and also multiplayer, so that in front of the TV, that 2, 3, or 4 people could play in real time against each other. And we will release this new version of our brain trainer. This will be first released for the new Intellivision Amico console, end of this year, beginning of next year. So it's called Brain Duel. So we don't use the Einstein brand for the Amico version. So it's called Brain Duel. This will be one launch title for the Amico console. And then later we will also port it to other, Switch or Xbox or other consoles or PC platforms.
Okay. And I think you're the first developer or publisher we've had on the program that's doing a project for the Amico. What's that like? How did that all transpire?
Yeah, I don't know. You heard about the Amico, huh?
Yeah, I know what the Amico is.
So I think it's a console. It's a family console. So it's different concept, not like the Xbox or PlayStation. So I think it's had much lower processor or graphic capabilities, but the games are designed that family, parents, kids, grandparents could play in front of the TV all together. So it's also like family-oriented multiplayer games, no in-app advertisements, so you just buy them, you download them. I think the maximum price for download for a game is $9.99, so the games are priced very reasonable. And I like this concept, and of course I like the team, like Tommy Tellerico is the CEO, and I know the European managing director, it's Hans Ippich, I know him for a longer time. So and immediately we said when I heard about the console, I contacted them and said, look, we are interested to bring our games, like the brain training game, and also our Dynablaster game, which will be also a launch title for the Intellivision Amico. So we want to bring these games on the Amico, and so we started to develop this already 1.5 years ago, and we are now almost finished. We could use like for the developers, Intellivision supports Unity, so it's good for us because all our games are developed in Unity, and we have done, I think, some quite nice version. We've done lots of polishing with the help of the Amico team. They gave us lots of feedback to improve the games, to make them better, to make the gameplay, the graphic, the game experience very nice. So we are very happy about it. And I believe in the success of this console. It's a different market, so it's not the. I think the core gamer will probably not buy this console, but it's more a console for people perhaps who never had a console before, but who want to play casual or into not only casual, but I think like family-oriented games at home with other people.
I mean, Nintendo exists, and they do market to the families a lot. So I don't know how successful this all will be.
We will see. For sure, I think it will not be easy, but I think they, the Intellivision people know what they do, and I think they, let's see. I think they will come out with some quite nice games, and let's see how successful this will be. But I'm very excited.
I mean, I wish them luck. Because I know the Amico's been having some issues with its production. Like it got delayed to next year. It was supposed to come out this year.
Of course, the supply chain production big problem right now. Everywhere get chipsets.
Yeah, it's obviously there's quite a lot going on in the world still.
Yeah,
but it does affect the whole industry. Anyway, and you've mentioned, we talked quite a bit about Einstein brain training, but there's another game that, you're launching with the Amico, and I think is out on mobile platforms, and this is Dynablaster. So this is actually the whole tie-in to the whole Bomberman stuff we've been talking about, because a bit of history for those who might know, especially since, we're Americans, most of our listeners are Americans. Dynablaster was one of the names that Bomberman used in Europe, in that particular market.
Yes, so Hudson Soft used Dynablaster for some for versions, for Bomberman versions, for the Commodore Amiga, Atari ST, also for NES and for Game Boy here in Europe. Not for all of Bomber, but so they use. I don't know. They used it for some of the version, and we have been able to get the Dynablaster trademark. So we developed, of course, we developed a new game, of course, with some or inspired by Bomberman, but we have lots of. It looks completely different, and also had lots of new features. We have lots of new game modes, co-op modes where you play together. You have to. It's a new game. You will see it. Looks completely different. Lots of different fun. The music is done by Tommy Tallarico, the CEO of Intellivision. He's a very famous game composer. I think he's even in the Guinness Book of World Records because nobody else made music for as many video games. So he's quite well known. So and he loves this game. So we have been very happy that he made the sounds and the music for Dynablaster. And so we look forward to release it first on the Amico, and then of course also for the other platforms, from Switch or Xbox, Steam, and also mobile platforms will be coming.
Right. Yeah, and Tommy Tallarico is pretty renowned for his composing, and not just like actual soundtracks, but the whole video game lives thing.
Yeah.
So it's good that he helped out there. Anyway, so talked about those games, but I suppose we're coming to, for lack of a better term, the main event here. That's Boulder Dash. And Boulder Dash is a game that has a lot of history behind it. Like, when did you first encounter Boulder Dash?
Of course, I know Boulder Dash from when I was young. I started in the home computer times, so of course I know it from the early times. Boulder Dash was first released in 1984. Of course, I know it from beginning on, but only as a user. So I played it, and then I got in touch commercially with Boulder Dash during my living mobile time. So when we developed these J2ME, so the mobile phone games, because we have been contacted by, at this time it was 2003, 2004, we have been contacted by First Star Software, the US, New York-based company who owned the rights for Boulder Dash. And they developed the J2ME version, but they have not been able to sell this version to the main European operators. They don't have agreements with T-Mobile or Telefonica or O2 or Orange, and we had these agreements. So we signed a distribution agreement. So we helped them to bring Boulder Dash ME, this was the name of this J2ME version, to bring it to Europe and sell it through the European operator. So this was my first commercial touch. And then later, 4 years ago, so the founder and president of First Star Software, Richard Spiltani, he contacted me and said, Stephan, I'm now getting almost 65 years old, and I'm doing now Boulder Dash for 35 years, and I want to retire, and I want to give Boulder Dash in other good hands. So are you interested? And of course I said, of course I'm interested. So then we discussed, and we found a commercial agreement so that BBG so we have been able to buy all the rights of the Boulder Dash IP and also all the rights of the old versions. So from First Star Software. So yeah, since 3.5 years, we are now the owner of the Boulder Dash franchise.
Wow. So what's it like owning such a storied, iconic, franchise?
It's great because of course it's first time, or like always before, we have always licensed content, like for the mobile phones at this time. So we always said, so this is first time I think we are owning a well-known or really well-known IP, which of course makes a complete different feeling, and also of course gives us much more commercial possibilities, because if you have the license you could always lose. And so you always have to ask yourself how much you invest in the development of a new game if you might lose it in 2 years or 3 years. So with Boulder Dash, it's different. It's ours. And so this does mean, so we also happy to invest into this franchise. So as you see, we just released in September, 9th of September, we released a new version called Boulder Dash Deluxe. So we spend lots of time and effort into this new version. You also see it's ported to many platforms. So there's a Switch version available, an Xbox version available, Steam, Windows, Mac version. So, and this of course only makes, or for us, it makes sense for us because we own the franchise, and so we could invest on the long run. We want to make or build up the franchise even more, or make it more popular. And this was a unique chance. So there was for us, and we are very happy that we have been able to secure the rights of Boulder Dash.
That's good to hear. And I'm guessing that's also the impetus for this new version, because I believe this is the second time you've released Boulder Dash.
It's the first Boulder Dash version developed completely by ourselves. So there's a second version which you find in the stores, which is released. This is Boulder Dash 30th anniversary. This came out in 2014, but this was developed still by First Star. So at this time we don't own the rights. So this was still developed by First Star. We have ported. This was after we bought the rights. So we have ported this Boulder Dash 30th anniversary to the Switch. So we have done. So this was our first Switch port. But Boulder Dash Deluxe is really the first time of a Boulder Dash version completely developed and designed and ported by BBG.
And how big is BBG? How many people work there? And I'm assuming the development was also done in-house?
Yes, we developed this in-house completely. So we are a small team. So we are 5 to 6 people, programmer, game designer. And so we developed this completely in-house with our team. This team also makes is also in charge for our Einstein Brain Trainer and for Dynablaster. So I think we have quite experienced and quite effective team.
And how long did it take for you to make Boulder Dash Deluxe here?
I think the whole project. So we don't have to start it at zero because we had the Boulder Dash 30th anniversary. So we also got the source codes from First Star Software. Luckily, they developed this also in Unity. So of course we had a base. So we used some parts of this, but in general, the whole project took about 1.5 years. Not of course not full time the whole team. We also had of course the team working on other projects, but basically 1.5 years. To design it, to develop, to make the beta testing, also to make the level design for all the new levels, and also it took some time. We even convinced Peter Lieper, who is the original creator of the first Boulder Dash version. He's a Canadian, so he created Boulder Dash in 1984. So we convinced him to help us, and he created one world with 20 levels for us called the Lieper world. So this also took some time. So altogether, we had to bring all the people, bring all the work together to a final version. We spent about 1.5 years.
Okay, that's not an unreasonable amount of time, especially since, as people can see on the broadcast here, this is a completely revamped edition of Boulder Dash, which can always be controversial because, there are people who will prefer the classic aesthetics or the classic, mid-'80s computer look, and there are people who want the games to look newer. How do you balance all that?
That's a difficult question. Of course, there, of course, lots of people have different thoughts about it, and perhaps just so we had in 2019, we already had a first prototype, not like a first version to show of Boulder Dash Deluxe. We showed this on the Gamescom here in Cologne, the big game exhibition. At this time, there was still no Corona, so this was the last show in reality. And so we had a booth in the retro section, so a Boulder Dash booth. There's a retro hall for all the retro companies. So we had a booth there, and so we showed this version to the public. And so I was there. I talked with lots of people. Of course, there came the Boulder Dash fans. Of course, they said, okay, I love the old Boulder Dash, the old levels. But then also, of course, there came parents with the kids. The parents know Boulder Dash. They showed their kids Boulder Dash. The kids liked it very much. Of course, they liked the more modern style. They don't want the retro style. So we try to find a compromise in Boulder Dash Deluxe where we say, look, we just could not do only retro version for the old generation or for the old Boulder Dash fans. We also have to we have to open it for the younger generation. So if you see Boulder Dash Deluxe, you see it looks fresh graphics, or you could design your character, the Rockford character, you could design by yourself. So this is something I think for the state of the art, more for the younger generation, but hopefully also some older Boulder Dash fans like it. But to also to be aware of or to satisfy the older Boulder Dash generation, we integrated the retro world in Boulder Dash Deluxe. So we have the original 20 levels from the first Boulder Dash version from 1984 with the original graphic, with the original sound. So of course, so the retro fans still have something, to or could play all these old or all these 20 original levels.
And how many new levels are there in this game?
Totally, we have 180 levels, so 20 are the retro, so 160 new.
That's a lot of levels.
It takes some time to solve all the levels. So for sure, you will enjoy it, and you need to spend some time on it.
Yeah. Now, I suppose another question in relation to all this is, does all the newness of Boulder Deluxe just apply to the aesthetics and like avatar creation, or are there new gameplay elements that weren't seen in previous versions?
Yes, we have some. There are some new movements. So you have like I don't know, from diagonal movements. We have new enemies, completely new enemies. Of course, the complete new graphics. So there are lots of, or there are new game elements, so which are necessary to be. Also, I think we don't want to only keep the old elements. So we always want to introduce some new elements within the game.
Okay, that makes sense. And though I'm assuming that everything new had to be balanced around the core here.
Pardon? Like, I didn't hear you.
Oh, I assume like all the, like for example, diagonal movement. How does, like, is that in the original levels, or is that just in the new levels?
This is only in the new levels. The original levels have the rules, and of course all the same of the old version. So there are the original levels, no new enemies, no new features. So this is completely retro.
Yeah, that is what I expected, because this is something that I've seen game companies mess up with. It's like taking the literal old game and applying new things to it, and it doesn't work out because like for example, diagonal movement wouldn't work with the original levels because it was planned with the the 4 cardinal directions, and having diagonals would break the game.
Yeah, for sure, I agree.
It is good that has been taken into consideration. And anyway, so this game has been out for a couple of months now. What's been the reception?
We got very positive reception. So lots of people like it. We got also, of course, some or people say or send us some wishes, for, I don't know, either updates or for new versions. So we are all collecting this. But basically, I think we are very, very happy. I don't know, like if you see the reviews, if you go on Xbox or Switch, I think you see that people give us good reviews. I think when I was looking last time at Xbox, I think we had almost 5 stars. I think like 4.5 or 4. So looks like that kind of how do we say, we fit the taste of the users with this version.
That's good to hear. And I see that there's a Atari VCS version in development.
Yes, I know Boulder Deluxe is also available on the Atari VCS. I forgot to mention this. Yes, you are right. So this was even the first platform we released. This was more like a pre-release. So this was end of last year, beginning of this year, when the Atari VCS came out. We already released Boulder Deluxe for the VCS. I completely, you're good that you remind me. I forgot it because this was a good test for us, to get some user feedback. And also it was like a kind of, we made some marketing campaign with Atari, because it was, like Atari released the VCS console, and, Boulder Deluxe was one of the first games for the Atari VCS. And if you move back to 1984, Boulder Dash was first released on Atari 400 and Atari 800 home computer. It was even developed, Peter Lieper developed this on an Atari 800. So Boulder Dash and Atari already had kind of connection in 1984. And so we said, okay, let's move on. Atari and Boulder Dash should also have a nice connection, even in 2021 or end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So this was the reason why we first released it for the VCS.
And I suppose, once again, like the Atari VCS isn't really all that well known. What is the Atari VCS?
It's a new console. It's a retro console, but it's more like a PC-based console. I think you could also use it as a PC, and Atari also ships all the Atari, all the old classic titles are pre-installed. Like from Centipede, from Asteroids. Also, I think the Atari had lots of classic games. So they have this. It's an internally. It's a Unix-based machine, as I know, and they also support Unity, so we have been able to port it or to make the port with Unity. So so far as right now, the Atari VCS is only sold in the US. I think they also have problems to manufacture enough quantities. So officially, as I know, it's not a Europe so far. It's still only sold in the US. I hope they will sell it in Europe soon.
I couldn't say, given supply chain problems. Anyway, now another aspect I'm wondering about is level creation. Is there a level editor in the game currently, or is that something that's being planned?
Yes. So right now we don't have a level editor in the game. So we have an internal level editor where we, like our game designer, created levels, or we have a handful Boulder Dash fans. They contacted us over the years, and they also beta tested this, and they are happy. They created levels for us. So we have this, or Peter Lieper also used this to create his level. So we have a level editor right now only for internal usage. So we are considering to use this also, or to integrate this in one of the future Boulder Dash version, but it's a little bit more complicated. It's not only, of course, like if you, it would, or not only to have the level creator integrated, you also have to do something with the level. So let's say if you want to make a Boulder Dash community where the people could create levels and then share with all the other Boulder Dash fans or with the Boulder Dash community, you have to kind of get the infrastructure for this, and you also have to find a system how you guarantee that the level which people have created is that you could solve it. Otherwise people create levels which are unsolvable, and then you share it with all the Boulder Dash community. So there must be kind of quality control, quality check. So we are.
The Mario Maker method works fairly well, where you have to beat the stage before you can upload it.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
So we still have to find the right infrastructure or to get this done, but it's on the list, or it's on our wish list for a new Boulder Dash version. This level creator. Lots of people also want to have it. So lots of people ask us.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Like, I'm trying to remember if the original version had a level editor. It feels like the
no. There was like Boulder Dash. There was a one Boulder Dash 4 version. I think this was the Boulder Dash with construction sets. So this had a constructor. I think the first Boulder Dash 1 or Boulder Dash 2 don't had a level creator.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, and outside of a level editor, what else would you want to see added to this deluxe version, if anything?
Yeah, I think for the deluxe version, we might create or we might add some new levels, and then I think we are already on the or I think our next version will be most probably a complete new again a new version of Boulder Dash. We don't know the name yet, where we will have a different design, which will be a little bit more designed for the retro guys. So like lots of people told us, hey, we want more old levels. Yeah. So we are now thinking to make a more little bit retro specific version where we really integrate Boulder Dash 1, Boulder Dash 2, Boulder Dash 3, Boulder Dash 4, all the original levels. And even there are lots of levels created from the Boulder Dash community, which we also contacted. So might be this is something, and there probably we will integrate the construction kit, or the level construction kit too.
Right. And in terms of like the retro style, is there a particular computer you would go for? Like, would you have this look like the Commodore 64 version, the Atari version, Amiga version, IBM, and so on and so forth?
This is a good question. So we are still considering. Might be we will perhaps, I couldn't promise, but might be we have even that you could select which graphic. Like, do you want to have it that it looks like on the Amiga or the C64 or the MSX or whatever?
I'd imagine that would be a tall order.
Yes, but of course this could be a nice new feature.
Yes. And in regards to Deluxe here, are there any more bits of DLC to come out?
We are considering in some more ports. So we are probably next year come out with a PlayStation port. That's on our list. And then of course also like the mobile, iOS and Android version we haven't released yet. So we are, because they must be designed or as iOS and Android is more freemium based, so with in-app, so like our console version, so you pay, you buy them once and that's it. So we don't have any in-apps and nothing else. So it's just pay one time and you get everything. So for the mobile, probably we have to change the business model, but we also would like to bring Boulder Dash Deluxe to iOS and Android world.
Makes sense. Now in terms of the PC, is this game only on Steam or is it like on GOG?
Right now, it's only on Steam. It's also in the Windows Store. It's in the Mac Store, and it will be available very soon in the GOG Store. So we have already signed the agreement. All the assets are uploaded. We just have to find one or 2 weeks time to create the GOG version. We have to integrate the SDK.
All right. And Epic?
Epic, we would like to do. I contacted Epic many times, but so far no response. So I tried to get into their store, but
unfortunately,
yeah, not yet. But let's see. Keep the fingers crossed. Perhaps one guy from Epic is hearing this. Then please contact me.
Maybe. Anyway, I suppose I'll wrap this up with this question. Any plans for any sort of physical version of Boulder Dash Deluxe?
Yes, you will see it in, I think should be released in February. We will come out with a physical version for the Switch. It will be a kind of Boulder Dash collection. So it will include Boulder Dash 30th anniversary and Boulder Dash Deluxe, both for Switch, both in one package.
And who's handling the release of the physical?
This is a German company called Innen Games. So they be, I don't, perhaps you know, they also do collect. Wait, they have it. They have. Give me 1 second. They like this is Innen Games, so they are perhaps you know Strictly Limited Games. They also belong to the same company group. So with Strictly Limited, they make limited edition, and Innen is their normal distributor. So they will distribute this in the US and in Europe. So for example, I think they have outlets like Walmart is one of the outlets. So you should see the Boulder Dash in the first quarter in the US.
Neat. All right, and I'll see if my colleagues here have any further questions for you.
I think my question has been answered.
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied.
I think also almost now I have told you anything. So no.
Well, I suppose the last thing to address is any other projects that are upcoming that you wish to talk about at this moment in time.
Not yet. We are busy with Boulder Dash. We are busy with Dynablastr and our brain trainer. So far, no other concrete or no other plans.
Okay. All right. So yeah, that'll about do it. Stephan, I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and being with us here today to talk about Boulder Dash and Dynablastr and brain training. We wish you luck on the further development of Boulder Dash Deluxe and your other games. And yeah, the games are Dynablastr, Einstein Brain Training, and Boulder Dash Deluxe. They are available on a variety of platforms. Some are coming soon. Be sure to check like the individual platform. Like if you want to get the Boulder Dash Deluxe on iOS, a bit of a wait. So anyway, be sure to pick them up on your platform of choice today. All right, so that'll about do it for this installment of Fragments of Silicon. As always, be sure to join us for the Sunday reviews. And until then, I shall wish you good gaming.
Yes, and thanks for your invitation. Bye-bye.